Hello, my name is Bryan Hogan and I'm presenting my construction productivity report for the Burns and McDonnell office expansion project. I'll go over executive summary of the project, overall project and goals. I'll give a little background on the Burns and McDonnell office expansion project itself. I will go over my activity analysis, observation, and analysis, as well as my activity improvement observations and analysis, and I will finish off with a conclusion. My observations were made during a 7-day period from October 12th through 20th for activity analysis and on November 11th for activity improvement. Some of the trades observed were included here, as you see: flooring, drywall, ceiling, plumbing. Many more on site, over 200 workers on site daily. And after performing the observations, the analysis was performed, which included graphs and tables for both activity analysis and activity improvement. A little background on the Burns and McDonnell project. It's an $80 million design build office building and $40 million parking garage owned by both Band Trust and Burns and McDonnell in a joint venture. Burns and McDonnell is not only the owner, but the contractor and the designer. I actually work for Burns and McDonnell, which is why I have access to the site as an assistant project manager. The estimated completion date for the project is spring 2017, and the project includes, in addition to the office space, a 144 child daycare facility, health center, and credit union. And right now, as mentioned, over 200 workers on site performing interior finishes, MEP rough-in, a little bit of site work, and exterior skiing work. I began with activity analysis on October 12th through 20th. Here's an example of my observations between the 16th and the 20th. 7 work area classification, direct work, preparatory work and instruction, training, tools and equipment, material handling, personal time, and waiting were the 7 areas. And as you can see, the observations were made at different times throughout the day, or random times. That information was then compiled and compared to 2 other projects: Central California Pipe Rack project and a Southern California medical office building. And you can see those results here. I also took the total numbers and created a graph, a table here for activities observed per time of day. In addition to activities per time of day, I was interested in which trades were performing different types of work at different times during the day. So this shows the work observations per trade. And last but not least, I created a pie chart to show which was the most observed activity. As you can see, direct work at 54%. Some of the observations that were made after making these tables were that the direct work percentages were pretty much the same as the similar Construction Industry Institute project, the Southern California MOB. Weighting was significantly less, which was surprising. Material handling about the same for the MOB, but different than the pipe rack, which is understandable given different project types. Personal time on my project was lower than both of those. What was very surprising to me was that most workers were productive at the end of the day, given the direct work observations observed toward the end of the day, around 1 or 2. And electricians and carpenters are the most popular of observations, as they make up approximately half of the workers on site. About the same amount of production and work are required for similar projects. That's one of the things that I was able to conclude from my tables. Also, about the same amount of direct work is required regardless of trade. So my comparison there didn't find any trades other than pretty much all the trades do direct work about the same. For activity improvement, I observed them pouring a concrete sidewalk approximately 25 cubic yards. It started with 6 workers and ended with 5. The main delay was that there was a concrete truck and they had time in between some of their trucks. So at that time, the workers were just standing around. The workers that were involved with the process kept the same duty throughout generally, and as expected, as time went on, they got faster and faster. They started out slow, but by the end of the pour, everybody was flowing. Some of the improvements that I would suggest would be to make it so that the trucks have an area to where the trucks are, there's never a delay. The truck should be waiting on the next truck, so that means you set up some type of staging area for the trucks and set up some type of specific route. And I have a diagram to show what I would suggest for that. Here's the data that I collected for the activity improvement. This was just 2 of the cycles performed and shows what the 6 workers were doing at any given time, from finishing concrete to controlling the chute. These were the main activities observed during the 11-minute periods. And as I mentioned before, they got more productive, more effective as the observations went on. By the end of the pour, they were extremely effective. So here's an overall diagram of the project. The highlighted area is the area of concrete they poured. Here is my diagram of improvement. I would suggest that they would follow the route for trucks, have a staging area, have a specific area for the concrete trucks as they pour, and then have a specific area for them to wash out and then exit the project. This would, I think, vastly improve their only real flaw, which was the lull between concrete trucks. Here's a photo of the actual construction happening, the actual concrete pour, and the 5 workers. So in conclusion, some of the lack of productivity is impossible to prevent, but the majority of them have some type of reason for them. That's what I was able to determine. I'm going to provide more information in my written report, as this slideshow has time restraints. I thus far have found several key findings that I'm going to be able to utilize for my project. Hopefully you enjoyed this short report, and as mentioned, I will have more information in my written report. Thank you. If anyone has any questions, feel free to contact me. My email is below.